A 4-bedroom house in Australia was listed for $75,000. It sat on the market for 4 years. It received exactly 0 buyer inquiries, not low offers, not negotiations that fell through, 0 inquiries. And that's not even the worst town on this list. But here is what nobody tells you. The price isn't the problem. The price is the warning. These towns are not affordable. They are abandoned economies still running on fumes, where people are trapped in houses they bought thinking they had found the dream. One family is literally losing money every month on a house they cannot sell. Another watched $400,000 in equity collapse to $150,000, a 62% wipeout. And while Sydney homes sell for $2 million, houses 600 kilometres away sit at $45,000 with 0 offers for 18 months. One of these towns lost 2,000 jobs overnight when the meatworks closed. Another has residents living underground just to survive the heat. And by the end, you will understand why more than 100,000 Australian homes sit empty while cities remain completely unaffordable. And fair warning, some of these are not remote outback camps. They are real towns with hospitals and schools. Let's get into it. The ghost towns that still have people. Andamooka sits 600 kilometres from Adelaide in the South Australian Outback. In the 1960s and 70s, this was a thriving opal mining town, with more than 3,000 residents chasing fortune in the red dirt. Families moved here with real hope. They built lives around the mines, they sent their kids to the local school, and they celebrated at the pub on weekends. It felt like somewhere. Today, about 300 people remain. The school has 12 students. The pub opens when it feels like it. Corrugated iron walls rust in the sun while red dirt yards stretch toward nothing. A 3-bedroom house here costs less than a used Toyota. But congratulations, your commute is now unemployment and your social life is dust storms. The miners who stayed have been here since the boom, aging in place because leaving would mean accepting that 50 years of work led nowhere. For them, opal mining now means hard labour for uncertain returns. Houses list between $30,000 and $60,000 and they sit for 18 months with 0 offers. But Andamooka at least has people trying. The next town got abandoned so fast that people did not even bother selling their houses, they just walked away. The $250,000 wipeout nobody saw coming. Kambalda was Western Australia's nickel jewel. During the 2000s boom, houses sold for $400,000. Workers migrated from across Australia chasing mining wages. It felt permanent, the kind of place where you could build a life. Then in 2024, BHP suspended its Nickel West operations. 3,000 jobs disappeared in a single announcement. Every second house now sits empty. For sale signs have faded in the sun, lawns have gone to weeds, windows stay dark at night. Housing prices collapsed from $400,000 to around $150,000, a 62.5% loss. These were not speculators who got greedy. They were families who bought homes during a boom and woke up trapped. They cannot sell without losing their life savings. They cannot stay because there are no jobs. BHP might restart operations in 2027, but there is no guarantee. So residents just exist in indefinite limbo, watching their equity bleed out month after month. At least Kambalda's decline was gradual enough to see coming. The next town lost its entire economy in a single day. 2,000 jobs vanished before breakfast. Wyndham sits in far northern Western Australia, so remote that wet season flooding cuts the town off from the outside world for months at a time. When the rains come, you are not leaving. You had better have everything you need because the roads become rivers and you are stuck until the water recedes. In the 1980s, population peaked above 2,000. The meatworks was the heartbeat of everything, the reason the town existed, the source of nearly every paycheck, the centre of community life. Then, in 1985, the meatworks closed. 2,000 jobs vanished overnight. The town never recovered. Today, 700 to 800 people remain. One property was listed at $75,000 for 4 years, and it received exactly 0 buyer inquiries. Not a single person even asked about it. Not one phone call in 4 years. 0. The stone buildings in East Wyndham date back to the early 1900s, standing empty now, monuments to a time when this place actually mattered to someone. The people who stayed either were born here and refused to leave, or they are retirees seeking isolation so extreme that loneliness becomes a lifestyle choice. You can buy a house here for the price of a vacation, but your nearest neighbour might be cattle, and your nearest hospital might require a helicopter. Now, if you are thinking these are just remote outback towns that nobody should expect to thrive, let me show you a place where people literally moved underground to survive. The town that buried itself to stay alive. Coober Pedy looks post-apocalyptic for a reason. Surface temperatures can exceed 50 degrees Celsius in summer, so between 60 and 80% of residents carve their homes directly into the hillsides. These dugouts maintain 23 to 25 degrees year-round, naturally. No air conditioning is needed. Underground churches, underground hotels, underground homes, all cut from rock by European migrants who flooded in during the mechanisation boom of the 1970s and the 1980s. The population peaked above 3,000. Today it is around 1,700. These homes are architectural marvels that get international media attention. They are structurally sound, incredibly energy efficient, and cheaper than a Sydney parking spot. One underground home was listed at $95,000. It has been sitting empty for 2 years. The owner moved to Adelaide for medical care. Here is the part that says everything. His children refused to move back. Coober Pedy at least has tourism potential and recent price growth. The next town has neither, just an estate desperately trying to sell a dead man's house for 2.5 years. 30 months, 4 price drops, still no buyers. Lightning Ridge is 722 kilometres from Sydney. It has a hospital, schools and an arts community. It even has a brand new Australian Opal Centre designed to drive tourism. This is not some forgotten dot on the map. Real effort went into giving this place a future. But half the shops in the town centre are permanently closed. Faded signs behind dusty windows. Economic silence. Population dropped nearly 15% in just 5 years. And there is a listing that tells you everything. A 4-bedroom house priced at $78,000 has been on the market for 30 months. The price has dropped 4 times. The owner died waiting for a buyer. Now his estate is desperate to sell and there is still no buyer interest. He did not just lose money on that house, he died waiting, and his family cannot even give it away. Lightning Ridge is at least trying to reinvent itself with tourism. The next town has no plan at all, just families watching their equity disappear month by month. Losing money every single month. Here's the story that broke me. A woman relocated to Quilpie, Queensland 5 years ago. She bought a 3-bedroom house for $65,000. Her husband had a mining job. Life was supposed to be affordable finally. No more renting, no more watching money disappear into someone else's mortgage. They owned something. Then the mines contracted. Her husband lost his job. They had no choice but to move away for work. So they rented the house out for $120 a week. And that rental income does not even cover the rates and maintenance. Every single month, money flows out of their bank account to cover a house they cannot live in. They own a house that actively costs them money. They cannot afford to keep it. They cannot sell it because nobody is buying. They are not homeless. They are something worse. They are trapped, watching their financial future drain away 1 month at a time. Quilpie's unemployment rate sits at 9%, nearly 50% higher than the state average. The town lost over 100 residents in 2 decades. When you are that small and you lose that many people, every empty house makes the next one harder to sell. At least she is young enough to potentially wait it out. The next town has a man in his 60s who raised a family there and could not convince a single one of his children to stay. The children refused to come back. Broken Hill is different. 17,000 people, a proper regional centre, schools, a hospital, real infrastructure. This is not a tiny mining camp in the middle of nowhere. It is a real town with real services, the kind of place that should be able to survive a downturn. It has history, heritage, a tourism angle, and it is experiencing the exact same slow bleed as everywhere else. A 60-year-old man has lived there 40 years. He raised his family. He built his entire life in that community. He watched his kids grow up playing in those streets, graduating from those schools. Now he is retiring to Adelaide just to be near his grandchildren because he could not convince any of his children to stay. They all left for the cities. They are not coming back. He bought his house in 1982 for $20,000. National property values have exploded since then. In Sydney, that $20,000 would be worth over $1 million today. His house is now worth around $190,000, a fraction of what it should be. It is a well-maintained 3-bedroom brick home, and he has had it on the market for 14 months with no serious offers. If this is happening in a town of 17,000, what is happening in towns half that size? The pattern that keeps repeating. Cloncurry, Queensland median house price crashed from $250,000 in 2012 to $130,000 today. 9 years after the mining downturn, there has been no recovery. Buyers who bought at the peak are underwater. Recent buyers are stuck. Ravensthorpe, Western Australia, population around 500. The nickel mine opened in 2007, closed in 2009 during the financial crisis, and reopened in 2017 at a smaller scale. Houses that were brand new in 2007 sat empty for years. Everyone who lives there knows another crash could come at any time. The mine is the only major employer. In Ravensthorpe, hope has a shelf life. You don't plan futures, you plan exits. This is not random. It is a structural pattern. Mining boom, commodity crash, population exodus, real estate collapse, negative equity, inability to leave, further decline. The same story is repeating across the continent. The two-tier trap. These towns represent Australia's 20th century wealth strategy. Mining extraction funded by government encouragement and worker relocation. Families moved with promises of stable employment, home ownership, community. People built a life around the mine, and the mine would take care of you. That was the deal. Then the commodities crashed, and the backup plans did not exist. There was no economic diversification to fall back on. No federal regional decentralisation policy to bring other industries in. No mining company transition funds to help communities survive the inevitable downturns. When the resource ran out or prices collapsed, towns were simply left to die. Between 100,000 and 150,000 Australian homes now sit empty or abandoned, the largest concentrations in declining regional and mining areas. Retirees grow old without healthcare access, hours from the nearest proper hospital. Young people leave because there is no reason to stay, no jobs, no opportunity, no future they can see. Small business owners watch their customer base evaporate year after year, hanging on until they finally cannot anymore. This is not a housing market. It's a two-tier trap. In Sydney, you cannot afford to buy. In Andamooka, you cannot afford to sell. Pick your prison. The question nobody asks. When you see that $50,000 house listing, you need to ask a different question. Not, can I afford this house? The real question is, can I afford to be trapped here? Cheap housing requires both a low price and the ability to work and live in a place. These houses are cheap because the market is screaming that there is no economic future. That is not opportunity. That is the price tag on neglect. We covered 10 towns where the Australian dream died quietly, from Andamooka's 12-student school to Kambalda's 62% equity wipeout to Wyndham's 4-year listing with 0 offers. We saw underground homes that children refuse to inherit and families losing money every month on houses they cannot escape. These are not broken places. They are abandoned ones, and the difference matters. If you found this valuable, like and subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.